This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by trainer Sugar Hill Steward. Sugar, firstly, how are you? How's the journey back over stateside?
Doing very well. The journey was just a regular 8 hour shift at work. Sleep most of the way, wake up, and then just get on with my day still.
Slept most of the way, but obviously you had a big fight to contend with over in the UK with your man Lawrence Okolie going up against Chris Billam-Smith. Not to be for Lawrence on the night, Sugar, so let's just reflect for me, please. What went wrong in your eyes for Lawrence?
Uh, it just goes back to consistency. That's all. The things that we worked on, were done in the gym, and they weren't completely done in the fight. So, um, you know what? For situations like that, it's like a fighter can train and do the things that he was doing, but they have to be done on that night. So that goes with everybody in every sport. You have to be able to perform on when the lights are on, when the camera's on, when it's time to go. Especially in boxing, it's only one shot. One fight and that's it.
Sugar, I'm sure you've seen the criticisms of Lawrence's style, where he can tend to like hold his opponents a lot. If he misses with his right hand, he falls in and he can kind of smother any type of inside work he might want to do. Is that something you see in the gym? Is it something you're trying to coach out of him?
You know what? Actually, none of that was apparent in the gym. So it just happened. It just happened that night. So uh, I don't know exactly what exactly. Lawrence mentioned that he was just over anxious a lot of times, and yeah, that happens. So you see it with fighters, when they get somebody hurt, they want to finish them or they want to do more, and we try to train to take the time and do things right. They don't always come out like that.
How did you want him to approach the fight?
Just the boxing really, and just to control the issue and just set up his punches. Uh, but it didn't happen that way.
As I said, he doesn't necessarily have the easiest of styles to watch. How frustrating is it on a personal note? I know you've just said that you never saw it in the gym, but when it doesn't come together on fight night, from what you work on in the gym, and obviously the criticisms from the David Light fight, uh, how frustrating is it for you that it doesn't seem to be clicking for him in the ring?
You know what? For me, because I enjoy teaching. It's like if you have a child and you're trying to teach them how to ride the bike or tie their shoe. I mean, you just have to try again. I mean, you have to believe in that person first of all, and if you believe in them and you believe in your abilities to teach and just maybe even a certain desire to want people to get better and trying to help people, then that's pretty much me. I'm always trying to help them and try to find a new way or a new approach, maybe some new words, anything new. So those are just things that I do, and I get those same thoughts even after a win, even when things go right. How can I make things better?
Sugar, reflect on the fight itself for me, please. It seemed to be a pretty good start for Lawrence. I think most people had him winning those initial rounds, and then obviously he goes on to get dropped in the fourth. So can you just
He
reflect?
threw a lead. He threw a lead left hook, and he threw a lead left hook. He missed it. And he pulled back. Didn't pull back far enough, or wasn't prepared. And Chris jumped in with a left hook, and down goes Lawrence. So that's pretty much what happened there.
Can you just reflect on kind of the rest of the fight as well? Obviously, the two other knockdowns and also the 2 points being deducted for holding. What did you make of losing those 2 points? Did you think they were fair?
Uh, you know, Obviously, in certain situations, you have to understand, as you mentioned earlier, Lawrence, being off balance. So I, I, I try to, I don't make any excuses. I always like fighters to have great balance, and falling off balance. Nobody's gonna just fall because they're off balance. They're gonna hold on to the closest thing next to them, and Chris is the closest thing next to him, and you're gonna grab onto somebody, and you know, yeah, I mean, nobody wants to fall, but if you're off balance a lot, then that's what'll happen. It'll lead to holding. The holding, was not. It wasn't a holder on the purpose, just to hold a stall time. I mean, if he's falling off balance, he has to catch his balance, and the only way to catch it is to hold on. and at the same time trying to hold. Chris is not standing there just trying to let him hold either. So if Chris is moving and tussling and trying to get away from Lawrence from holding on to him, then you're gonna get a lot more holding than if you caught your balance, and and back on your feet again. So he was never really able to regain his balance when he's falling off balance if Chris is moving. So it's just one of those things you can't avoid if somebody's trying not to let you hold on.
I think the first knockdown in particular, Sugar, had people kind of watching the fight, questioning how badly hurt Lawrence was. In that one in particular, was you concerned at all for Lawrence in terms of thinking his back's up against the ropes here, he's struggling to regain himself?
Well, I mean, when he got knocked down, Chris poured it on. He's supposed to. Same thing I would tell my fighters, and Chris approached it very aggressively and tried to finish Lawrence. I give credit to Lawrence for sticking in there, for being able to move into boxing, to hold a little bit, try to throw some punches back. In boxing, if you're hurt, it's part of the game. It's to hold. If you don't hold, then it's just stupid on you for not holding because it is allowed. If a fighter's hurt, it's just not allowed to be an excessive move or a tactic in boxing.
Sugar, you've been involved in some massive fights. You've been out there with Tyson in front of 90,000 fans at Wembley, but the majority of those fans were cheering for Tyson. When you look at this past weekend, granted it wasn't 90,000, but it was still 15,000 outside. Chris Billam-Smith's big homecoming fight, as it were. Did it feel any different being, even though you're a champion, it's somewhat in the away corner, having those fans on your back?
No, the crowd is the crowd. I mean, I don't really even hear the crowd pretty much. I'm focused on my fighter. I may not even hear somebody behind me telling me that maybe my zipper's unloose or something. I don't know, but I'm just focused on the fight. So I don't really hear about the crowd. I don't think the crowd. I mean, the crowd didn't play any part in my in anything that I did that night. It's just the crowd. Now, I'm sure fighting in your hometown, you hear the crowd and you want to hear that crowd. You've been dreaming of that. So it's heard by some people and some people it's not.
What were you saying to Lawrence in between the rounds to try and change the momentum and the outcome of the fight? Because there were times it was swinging both ways, but when you wanted Lawrence to regain control and authority, what was you saying to him? What did you want to see him do?
Just get back on the jab and set him up and set Chris up for the punches that we have been working on. A lot of times he was getting when he was having success, then he would get too close. He would fall in again, even when he had him hurt. So that's what I mean by the holding. It's not holding just to be holding. He had Chris hurt in an instance, and he still fell in and had to hold. So what can you do about that?
How do you, as a trainer then, Sugar, moving forwards, how do you go about trying to not necessarily coach it out of Lawrence, but maybe make it less obvious or make it less um something that he does less so within a fight?
Actually, I don't know because everyone is different. So it's just me trying to think of something new or maybe do something old that I remembered, throughout the years of being a trainer. And just try to use those things, try to use anything I can. Don't know. Maybe I make them climb a tree or something, or I don't know what to do. Stand on one leg and learn how to balance, hop around on one leg for the whole day. I don't know. Whatever would work. I mean, you got to try something. So that's me. I'm going to always try something to try to get through to that fighter to make them understand, to make them learn, and to be successful.
Sugar, the scorecards read 1-1-12, 1-12, 1-12, 1-16, 107, and 1-15, 108. I don't know if you've watched it back. I don't know if you've scored it yourself, but did you think Chris was the rightful winner? Did you think that maybe Lawrence picked up a few more rounds? How did you see it?
I think Chris was rewarded the win fairly, in my own head. So I did maybe one funny thing. Obviously, we all know I didn't agree with some things that were going on, and I tried to voice my opinion to the referee as I'm supposed to during the break of the in between the rounds, and I was told to go back to my corner. I don't know when. I don't know when other time are you supposed to address the referee of a concern that's going on in the ring, other than hollering while I'm in my corner. And also from that, I was told to be quiet. So, and I almost got thrown out of the. I almost got thrown out of the fight. I was warned if I keep talking, I'm going to get thrown out of the fight. So, yeah, I don't know when else you're supposed to address the fight. I know when you are supposed to, but not given that opportunity, it's a little bit disturbing for me. But it's boxing. Um, we wouldn't be talking about that if things had went according to the way they went in training camp.
Have you spoken to the British Boxing Board of Control or anything about that after the fight?
No, I didn't. I didn't talk about it. I mean, it's a fight. Everybody's going. Everybody's you know things. It's a fight at that time. So naturally, I'm concerned. And then the fight is over. I mean, what am I going to talk to somebody about? Uh, to do what? It was clear and obvious in certain situations. And yeah, hey, don't make those mistakes. Don't get yourself put in those situations. Is the best way I look at it. If you're not falling off balance, then we don't have the holding. Uh, if you're not falling off balance when you hurt a guy, trying to be so eager, then you don't overlung for the shots, and you don't overlung for the shots and knock the guy down, and then they call it for pushing. So things happen. It's the same as I think one of the knockdowns was the first knockdown I feel was legit, and then I think it was the second one where I didn't agree with that one. Lawrence was falling already, like he was falling, and it was no punch, but the referee called it a knockdown. So it said the referees, it's supposed to be his discretion during the fight to make the right call, and I guess he felt those were the right calls. But just to be funny about that, you were mentioning the scorecards, and then he had one judge had the fight 112 to 112, and I felt maybe I'm being funny, right? So maybe the judge who saw that didn't count the points and didn't count the two knockdowns.
Sugar, obviously Lawrence was
Maybe he didn't feel those were just due, so he just went off his own opinion and not taking into fact that the referee had taken the points and had called those two knockdowns. I don't know. I'm just being funny right now because I don't. Because I was shocked at the 112 myself. So I even asked at the post interview, like, could somebody tell me the scores? Because at the time of the fight, I couldn't hear what the scores were being read, but I just know the crowd booed, and I was thinking to myself, like, why are they booing?
can I ask
one of the scores.
if you've agreed that Chris won, how did you personally score it?
I just scored he won. I mean, it was too much with the points and stuff like that. So I wasn't adding up points and stuff like that. And a fight like that, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about just get the knockout and we ain't got to even look at the scorecards and worry about that. I'm not really trying to go into a decision to worry about if you win it or not, by how many points. If you're losing, you need a knockout to win.
I watched the fight back without any commentary and what have you, so wasn't listening for corner instructions or anything. Going into that final round, was you instructing Lawrence saying you need a knockout here to win?
I was instructing Lawrence he did a knockout in every round from the first round on. That's me. That's the kind of
But in
guy
the
I am.
final round, was there more urgency? Was it in your head that if he doesn't get this knockout now, he's lost?
Yeah, it was urgent every round for me. It's nothing the same. I mean, maybe I'm hollering a little more because I need to give attention more, but it's always the same urgency for me. I don't like any decisions. I wasn't raised to like any decisions. I was raised and taught, go for the knockout, teach the fighters how to get the knockout, and you don't have to worry about those judges. You don't have to worry about the scorecards, period. Makes everybody else's job easier.
Sugar, obviously Lawrence was very humble in his defeat, and we know he's got a great relationship with Chris because of obviously previous former campmates. How much of an impact or influence did you think have Chris obviously having Shane McGuigan in his corner, who'd previously trained Lawrence? He knows Lawrence inside and out. Granted, he hasn't had a couple camps with him, but he'll know him as well as anyone how to operate against him. How much of a key factor do you think that was on fight night?
I didn't really think it was going to be a key factor because Lawrence was doing new things. So I didn't think any of what he'd known about Lawrence as far as the way he used to box would have been a factor. And I just really didn't think about it as far as he knows him as best when you see the fighter doing nothing of what he was doing before.
Lawrence obviously has his chance at redemption immediately, Sugar. Are you happy to see him go straight in for that rematch if he does invoke that rematch clause?
Yeah, it's the only way to go. I mean, you don't want to wait around and try to get a rematch. You want to get it right away. He obviously knows there was some things that he did by the statements that he made, and he wants to correct those things. He wants to right his wrongs, and he wants to be victorious.
From what you saw of the fight, how confident are you that the result can be reversed?
I'm very confident of it. It's just, it's totally up to the fight. I was confident in this fight. I'm going to be confident in every fight, or don't even take the fight. But it just has to be something done. I don't know what yet. That'll be something that me and Lawrence talk about and figure out, for him. And I don't know. Maybe if I said peekaboo or something, or tickled him, maybe he would have got himself back the way he was doing in a training camp and not be so anxious. I don't know. I'm a crazy thinker, so I mean, sometimes you have to think outside the box to get things to work properly.
Sugar, just a couple of things from me. Tyson.
Give
Uh,
it to me.
yeah, so Tyson is now looking at and trying to secure a fight with Anthony Joshua. Obviously, earlier in the week, we saw him saying that he wanted Dempsey McKean or Jaya Pataya out in Australia. What's going on in the world of Tyson Fury, Sugar?
I'm just waiting on Tyson Fury and to give me a call and say he's got a fight. Who it is, I don't care. And if he's throwing names out there, he's trying to get a fight. So yeah, when something like that is of a concrete statement and there's some kind of agreement on both ends of whoever he's fighting, and there's some kind of a real public announcement, not just everybody talking about a fight, then I'm all ready and I'm all for it. I'm just waiting for that day. The
When
same as
you
I was waiting for. The same as I was waiting for a day when he made it was confirmed that he was fighting Derek Chisora, and before that when he was fighting Dillian White, and before that with the two Deontay Wilder, well, the one Deontay Wilder fight.
when you mentioned, or when we mentioned, and I asked you about the Anthony Joshua fight, from your time working in the sport, how difficult is it to make a fight of that magnitude? And from any personal conversations you've had with Tyson, Sugar, does he ever say to you like, listen, before I step away from a fight game, I want Alexander Usyk and I want Anthony Joshua?
He said them all. He said I want everybody. So um, I hold him true to those words, and I know it's in his heart. He wants it, but when things don't happen, when things don't happen, like you said, yeah,
I'm sorry.
when things don't happen, you get frustrated. So, I mean, we know it's all a part of boxing, and things get a lot more frustrated. You know, if the fighters chose to fight, like you got two kids two kids or two fellows in the street, or something for, hey, me and you, let's just do it, and they just do it. You got nobody else in between to not make that happen. But as we know in boxing and things in other sports, whatever, there are negotiations. There's a team of advisors, managers, promoters, and such things like that, who all have a say so in those fights being made. And all of those people, let's say you have 5 people on each team, then plus the fighter, that makes 6. You got to deal with 6 different. You got to deal with 12 different people, and then you need the agreement of all 12 of those people just for these fights to happen now. So it's almost like being in court, and you got the jury. You got 12 jurors. You got and they have to decide. They have to make a vote. And yeah, this is where it leaves us right now. Everything has to be aligned with all 12 persons. We're just saying 12 if it's 5 plus the fighter.
Are you confident, Sugar, we see him make a ring return before this Saudi bonanza, which is being spoken about for December?
I'm just confident he'll fight. I don't know anything about. I don't think too much about the Saudi and all these different suggestions of fights. I don't think about those things. I do enjoy golfing and cooking. We were supposed to talk a little bit earlier, but I was cooking. And yeah, I like doing other things besides just thinking about the what ifs. If that's the case, I'd be thinking about it. What if I won the lottery? You know, what if I won the lottery? If I pick those numbers, if I pick this number, if I pick that number, it's just too many things to worry about in life that I don't have control over. I'm only going to worry about the things that I do have control over, which makes me look, young and handsome. Uh, yeah, things like that. I like to let life be easy. You know me,
Um,
Andy. I'm always about the easy stuff. I'm not sitting here trying to complicate things. I've learned in life and watching people or other people's mistakes and my own mistakes to not be a part of that. And just, I like to live my life a lot more simple. What time we're going to the golf course? What time we're going into the gym to train? Because I'm always in the gym training with different fighters. So I'm very happy about that, to be able to train other fighters and teach them things and watch their progress in the gym and, being prepared for when they have future fights.
Sugar, last time we did an interview, or sorry, at the time before the last time we did an interview, I asked you about some comments from John Fury. Have you spoken to John at all? Because he's had a couple of more choice words since then.
No, I haven't heard any. I haven't even heard any of those words either, and don't really care to.
You
For me,
know,
it's all just it's for me, it's all just hearsay. So it doesn't. And if you mention the words, whatever they are, I don't really have a care about them because it's all just hearsay. So I don't go by he said, she said. I don't go by just the same as I don't go by when they say, "Oh, the fight's being made." So yeah, you can ask me about it, but I don't think I'll have an answer for it. I'm probably positive I don't have an answer for it.
I imagine you don't, but just so kind of So John did an
I
interview,
tell
and
you what, I'd rather not hear about it because I didn't hear about it already. And for me not to hear about it would be just fantastic.
that's fair enough, Sugar. And then just a final thing before I let you go. Obviously, we saw the fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence announced last week. I was going to get your thoughts on that. It's a blockbuster, one which we've all been waiting for a very long time.
Um, I think it's a great fight. I think it's been some time for those fights to even happen. So, when these kind of fights do happen, it brings a lot of excitement and a lot of relief, to, I guess, both of the teams and then for all the people who want to see these fights as well.
Who wins?
Hey, whoever does what they're supposed to do, it's one of those fights. That's a tight fight. So you got both top fighters, and those are just the fights you want to see. I like to see a knockout of whoever else, but I mean, yeah, that way you don't have to worry about too many discussions afterwards because it's clear as day that whoever knocked the other person out or won by TKO or something like that, then that's the clear cut winner.
Sugar, I get the feeling you're a man who goes to sleep dreaming about knockouts.
Yeah, or golf or cooking or being with friends, other things. It's not all just 24/7 boxing with me. It's just I do have a life outside of boxing and I do enjoy that along with boxing. I was told by a wise man that don't spend your whole time thinking about boxing because you lose your creativity and it'll get stale. It's like having a job where you got to keep on working and working and working. I enjoy teaching and training fighters to win, and I just like to continue to do it that way. It
How
was
di
great advice, and I've been doing it. I've been doing it this far, so I think I'm gonna stick to doing that still.
how difficult is it to find that balance, Sugar, especially when you consider some of the names that you train and those guys who are at the top of their divisions? How difficult is it to find that right balance of your personal life and your work and your boxing life?
Yeah, I just work a lot. Hey, I don't mind working, so yeah, I just work a lot. When I have time for myself, I take it.
Well, Sugar, listen, it's a pleasure to catch up with you. He's getting on now. I think it's about 1 o'clock here, so I'm gonna leave you to go and enjoy your day, so then I can get some sleep. Thank you for speaking to me.
All right, thank you, Andy. Always good to speak with you as well.